Now we're going to look at some more definitions, but we're going to look at definitions of strength, endurance, and stability. And again, try and make sense of why strength isn't the cure to lower back pain and why stability is more effective. Strength does have a place, so all you strength advocates, it does have a place, but it just comes later. So, muscular strength, the ability to generate maximum force against an external load. So, the key there is maximum force. Because maximum force, if you then go to an exercise textbook and you look at strength training and you look at rep ranges, they will be low rep and heavy weight. So that is your maximum force. So you put a big heavy weight on your back, you lift it 6 times, you put it down. That would be your maximum force. Obviously, the maximum of the maximum is your 1 rep max. So the heaviest weight you can lift 1 time. That's what muscular strength is. Your ability to resist a force from an external load. Now, I can see where people have come from with regards to strength and low back pain, because if you do have a very high strength and you're only ever lifting heavy things, light things around, it would make sense to think that that would sustain you and your back would be healthy because it's so strong that all these little movements aren't causing a problem because they're little movements and they're little weights. But when we talked about repetitive strain, it's more about lots of little things that add up, and that's what wears strength down. So that's the understanding that we need to come to. Then we come to muscular endurance, which is repetitions against a given resistance for a prolonged period of time. Now these, when you come to an exercise textbook, is submaximal. So this would be 12, 15 reps. You could even go to 20 reps if you wanted to. So this is a lighter weight, but done, a submaximal weight done for a prolonged period of time. That's how you build muscular endurance, and that's how we need to come to understand it. Again, references are down below. Again, if you're liking this content, hit the like button. If you want to watch more stuff like this, hit the subscribe button as well. So muscular endurance is about repetitive loading. So now we're starting to talk about like the repetitive strain, micro trauma build-up. So it's more about your ability to have endurance, so your ability to resist that breakdown, which is what is happening in that repetitive strain type scenario. But, so we have endurance is different from strength, and we can see why strength doesn't necessarily do it, because endurance can wear it down if training or life is done incorrectly. But now we come on to joint stability. So joint stability is influenced by the neuromuscular control of the muscles crossing the joint. Again, reference is down in the description. So that's a bit of a sort of a vague understanding of joint stability. So what's the role of stabilizing muscles? Stabilizers control movement. So I'm about to say more on the quote, but stabilizers control movement. So I'm going to come back to this first part in a second. Stabilizers control movement in one local segment while movement occurs in another, or they create supportive tension within multiple global joints. Their role is not to move in the presence of movement. So that is for your glutes, your quads, your pecs. They are there to produce that movement. That's what they do well. The stabilizers are there to stabilize the joint, not move the limb, but to stabilize it. And I'll explain that in an analogy in a second. They should therefore be trained to produce integrity, alignment, and control in both static and dynamic situations. So again, we have to start moving away from this idea that we need to train the small stabilizing muscles like we do the big movement producing muscles. So we don't train your rotator cuffs like your pecs or lats. we don't train your hip stabilizers like your quads and your glutes, if that makes sense. They need to be trained in a different way. Now we come on to the analogy and how we can start to make sense of this stability idea and what that looks like. And I will do a little workshop in the gym on this to highlight it and help you make sense of it. But it comes down to these little thrusters called vernier thrusters. What are they? They are a little rocket engine used on a spacecraft for fine adjustment to the altitude or velocity of a spacecraft. So the main thruster is the one that propels it forwards, your glute or your quad. Then you have these fine vernier thrusters that keep it going in a straight line, or if it starts to veer off course, it brings it back onto course. So again, it's keeping that alignment, so as the spacecraft wants to wobble like that, it stabilizes it and makes it true again and straight. That's exactly the same as you push a weight with your leg or with your arm. It needs your stabilizing muscles to stabilize. So when we talk about the spine, when we talk about the deep lying muscles, the QL, the erector spinae, even the thoracolumbar fascia, glute medius, glute minimus, we're talking about maintaining integrity and alignment of the joint. That is known as a stable joint. If there is, so take for example your arm, when you press a weight, if it wobbles, that is an unstable joint. If it stays in alignment, that would be described as a stable joint. That's how we need to start understanding how the body works. Is that we have our main thrusters, glutes and quads, and we have our vernier thrusters, our glute medius, glute minimus, and adductors. That's how we need to start thinking about how the body stabilizes itself. The spine has this as well. QL, erector spinae, thoracolumbar fascia. At a very deep level, it does have multifidus and the small rotary muscles and interspinalis muscles. But they, again, their primary role is about feedback and sending information back to the central nervous system. So it's not even stability at that level. At the deepest level, it's proprioception. At the mid level, it's stability. And then at the gross level, it's then movement. So that's how we need to start thinking about how we overcome lower back pain. Is we need to build the stability first. We need to get the alignment correct. We need to get the integrity of those muscles working properly. And we then need that supported with proper movers doing the movement. So what you can start to see now is there's now a difference in how we go about training. And what I'm going to do in part number 3 is talk you through how to train your lower back the right way based on what I've talked about in part 1 with regards to the RSI and the microtraumas, and then with regards to muscular strength, endurance, and joint stability. If you want to learn more about how to overcome your lower back pain, please click the link in the description. You'll go through to my How to Overcome Lower Back Pain workshop, which takes you on a deeper dive into this type of information. It's 4 parts. There's myths, and then there's the 3-part process of how to overcome lower back pain that I use with people that I work with. And what it also does is opens you up to my group training if you so wish to do that. You don't have to. You can just download the workshops, complete those, and go about overcoming your lower back pain as you see fit. Or you can choose to come on the group training with me. So if that sounds like something you'd like to do, please do just click the link in the description.